Let us we discuss the method of determination of hardness of water. Hardness of water. Method of determination of hardness of water. Okay, as we know, the hardness of hot water is because of 6 salts. What are those salts? That is equal to calcium bicarbonate, magnesium bicarbonate, calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, calcium sulfate, magnesium sulfate. These are the salts which are responsible for the hardness of hard water. Okay, but remember that the degree of hardness is always be expressed in ppm with respect to CaCO3 is always be expressed in the form of CaCO3 with respect to the weights of CaCO3 only we will calculate the degree of hardness of hot water. Then so weight of CaCO3, how to calculate the weight of CaCO3? So first of all, the amount of salts which are present in the hard water is always be which are equivalent to the weight of CaCO3. What do you mean by the equivalent to weight of CaCO3? That means here you just remember this hint. By using this hint we can convert these all weights into the weights of CaCO3. How to convert these all weights into weight of CaCO3? Remember that the weight of 1 mole of CaCO3 is equal to the weight of 1 mole of CaHCO3 twice, that is equal to the weight of 1 mole of magnesium bicarbonate, that is equal to the weight of 1 mole of calcium chloride, that is equal to the weight of 1 mole of magnesium chloride, that is equal to the weight of 1 mole of calcium sulfate, that is equal to the weight of 1 mole of magnesium sulfates. So by using this hint you convert these all weights of the salts into weights of CaCO3. Once we know the weight of CaCO3, what is the formula? A simple formula. The degree of hardness of hard water is equal to simple formula, weight of CaCO3 in grams by the weight of water in grams into 10 power 6. So by using this formula you can calculate the degree of hardness of hard water. So once again, first you convert the weights of all these salts into weights of CaCO3 by using this. Once you convert these all weights into weights of CaCO3, so this is the formula. Degree of hardness is equal to weight of CaCO3 by weight of the water in grams into 10 power 6. Okay, so this is a simple way to calculate the degree of hardness. We will discuss the few problems after the concept. Okay, let us move to the next concept. That is what? Hydrogen peroxide. This is the third compound of hydrogen peroxide. So this is also we call it as oxygenated water by Thenard. The scientist Thenard called this H2O2 as what? Oxygenated water. That means H2O.O. That means oxygenated water we call it as what? Hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so let us discuss the methods of preparation. So in these methods of preparation, first one, by the reaction from sodium peroxide, Na2O2. Okay, how can we prepare? So when sodium peroxide is reacts with water, okay, if you add water to the sodium peroxide, simply we are getting what? We are getting Na2O plus H2O2. Okay, when we add the water to the sodium peroxide, we are getting H2O2. This is one first method. Now here remember that in the place of H2O, we can also use dilute H2SO4 also, no problem. In the place of H2O, we can also use dilute H2SO4. Even if we use the diluted H2SO4 also, we are getting the H2O2 only. So this is the first method. The second one, from barium peroxide, BaO2, barium peroxide. How? To this barium peroxide, if you add H2SO4, we are getting barium sulfate as a precipitate and H2O2 as a main product. But in this process, in the oxidation of barium peroxide, and usually barium peroxide exists as a hydrated form, 8 water molecules, and that 8 water molecules will come out, no problem. But here, in this process, there was a one drawback. What is that? H2SO4 is a strong oxidizing agent. So because of its strong oxidizing agent, suppose if you take any excess amount of H2SO4, that excess H2SO4 will convert this formed H2O2 back into H2O and O2. That is one of the drawback. That is why instead of H2SO4, okay, we use some weak bases like what? H3PO4 you can use, H3PO4, or else H2CO3, carbonic acid also we can use. Okay, so if we use the H2SO4, there was a drawback that because of its oxidizing nature, it will decompose the formed H2O2 back into H2O. That is why to prevent that, in the place of H2SO4, we are using H3PO4 or H2CO3. Suppose if we use H3PO4, let us see what will happen. That is barium peroxide. If we add H3PO4, what we will get? We will get a barium phosphate. Okay, barium phosphate. And H2O2 will come. Okay, so now this barium phosphate, this on treatment with the H2SO4, now we are getting barium sulfate and H3PO4, and this H3PO4 again you can use in the first step. So there was one advantage by using what? H3PO4. That is why they prefer to use H3PO4 in the place of H2SO4. Okay, so this is second process. Third one is Merck process. Merck process. What is this Merck process? Nothing much. Simple. You take barium peroxide. To this barium peroxide, you prepare a pasty mass of barium peroxide. How? By adding some water. So small amount of water you add to the barium peroxide and you make this barium peroxide into pasty product. Into this pasty product, if you send the CO2 gas, when you send the CO2 gas onto the surface of pasty mass of barium peroxide, we are getting BaCO3 as a precipitate and H2O2 will produce as a main product. Okay, so this is what we call it as what? Merck process. Okay, next one, auto-oxidation. Auto-oxidation. What is this auto-oxidation? So we take 2-ethyl anthraquinone, 2-ethyl this is 2-ethyl anthraquinone, 2-ethyl anthraquinone. This on oxidation, we are getting 2-ethyl anthraquinone. This is 2-ethyl anthraquinone and this is 2-ethyl anthraquinol. So this is a quinol, OL. This is on, quinone, ketone groups. So while this what happen, we get H2O2 as a product. So when 2-ethyl anthraquinol on oxidation, we are getting what? 2-ethyl anthraquinone and also H2O2. The same thing, suppose if 2-ethyl anthraquinone is on reduction, again it will come back into what? 2-ethyl anthraquinone. So like this, by auto oxidation we can prepare H2O2. This is the fourth process. And the fifth one, this is electrolysis process, electrolysis method. In this electrolysis method, they are preparing the H2SO4 by using 50% H2SO4. They prepare the H2O2 by using 50% H2SO4. How they are going to prepare? So in this, okay, this is a diaphragm, platinum rods, okay, and this is lead, okay, lead wire, platinum rod, and this is a ice cold water, and here this is a 50% H2SO4. This is a method, just remember, this is a lead wire, and this lead wire act as a cathode, and the platinum rod act as what? Anode. Okay, now this 50% H2SO4, what happened? This is a 50% only, so H2SO4 will split into H plus HSO4 minus. So in that 50% H2SO4, which ions are present? HSO4 minus ions are present. When this H2SO4 on electrolytes, what happened? This 2 moles of HSO4 minus will dimerize, and we are getting H2S2O8. H2S2O8. What we call this one? Disulfuric acid. H2S2O8. So this is also we call it as what? Marshall acid. Marshall acid. Disulfuric acid. Okay, this Marshall acid. Okay, when this Marshall acid on hydrolyze, when this Marshall acid H2S2O8, this on hydrolyze, what we will get? We are getting H2SO5 plus H2SO4. H2SO5, what we call? Carous acid. Carous acid, also we call as a peroxysulfuric acid. Peroxysulfuric acid also we call as Carous acid, and here H2SO4 came. Okay, when this Carous acid and further hydrolysis, that is H2SO5 on hydrolysis, now we are getting H2SO4 plus 1 mole of H2O2. So finally we got H2O2. So this is a 3-step process. First thing, when 50% H2SO4, usually 50% H2SO4 having bisulfate ions. When these bisulfate ion solutions on electrolyze, we are getting H2S2O8, dihydrogen sulfate, disulfuric acid. This is what we call as Marshall acid. When this Marshall acid on hydrolysis, we are getting sulfuric acid with Carous acid. When this Carous acid on further hydrolysis, we are getting H2SO4 by the formation of H2O2. And this process we call it as what? Electrolysis process. Okay, by this process, okay, we can prepare what? 30% of H2SO4. Whereas in this process, auto oxidation process, we can prepare only 1% of H2O2 only. Here 1%, auto oxidation 1% pure, and this is 30% pure. Whereas from barium, from sodium, but here ice cold water. Okay, so here also we get 30% only. Here 30%, here 1%, and here 30%. So like this we are getting different percent of H2O2. Okay. Next one, structure of H2O2. Structure of H2O2. If you take the structure of H2O2, H2O2 has open book-like structure. Open book-like structure. Okay, and in this open book-like structure, in both gas phase and in a solid phase, they are having different this is what we call it as dihedral angle. Hydrogen. Okay, this is, let us consider this is a gas phase. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, now, so this is what solid phase. Solid phase. In gas phase and solid phase, they are having different dihedral angles, different OO bond lengths, and different HO bond lengths. Okay, you remember one point. In gas phase, so the dihedral angle, the angle, this is one plane and this is another plane. The angle between the two different planes, this angle we call it as a dihedral angle. Okay, so and this angle is what? 111.5 degrees in gas phase. Okay, and in gas, solid phase, in crystalline phase, this is what? 90.2 degrees. 90.2 degrees. Okay, this is a 111.5 and this is what? 90.2 degrees. Okay, next. This OO bond length, the OO bond length in gas phase is greater than OO bond length in solid phase. So this is what? 148 picometers. OO bond length here is 148 and here this is 146 picometers. 146 picometers. Okay, so this is about the OO bond length. These two, this is the dihedral angle and the OO bond lengths are greater for gas phase than solid phase. Remaining, this OH and HOO bond angles, they both are lesser for gaseous phase compared to the crystal phase. Okay, so what is the OH bond length here? The OH bond length here is approximately 95 picometers. Even this bond angle also 95 degrees. Almost 95 means exactly 94.8 degrees. Okay, here I am writing what is the bond angle in HOO. What is that? 94.8 degrees. And OO bond length is 148 picometers. And then OH bond length is 95 picometers. And the dihedral angle is 111.5 degrees. This is about the gas phase. Next, coming to here. So the OH bond length, this is here 95. Okay, so here this is greater than this one. So it is approximately 99 picometers. OH bond length is 99 and here this one is 101.2 degrees. 101.2 degrees. So here the HOO bond angle is 101.2 and OO bond length is 146 and OH bond length is 99 picometers approximately and the dihedral angle is 90.2 degrees. Okay, so this is about the differences between the structures of H2O2 in gas phase and solid phase. Okay, once again, the H2O2 is, what is the structure of H2O2? It's an open book-like structure or laptop structure. Okay, so this is the structure of H2O2. Let us discuss the properties of H2O2. Properties of H2O2. Okay, briefly. So the H2O2, it is an syrupy liquid. Okay, and it is injurious to skin. That is why we should not contact the skin with H2O2. For curing the wounds only we will use the H2O2. Otherwise, it is injurious to skin, and it is showing weak acidic nature. Weak acidic. Okay, and next one, it is showing oxidizing properties in both acidic media and in basic media. But when you compare the acidic and basic media, in basic media it is showing more oxidizing behavior. Okay, next one, it is also showing reducing properties. Again, it is showing the reducing properties in both acidic and basic And one more thing, the reducing properties of H2O2 only in presence of strong oxidizing agent, then it's okay, in presence of strong oxidizing agent than H2O2, then only it is showing the reducing property. Otherwise, it will act as oxidizing agent only. Okay, next one, it is also showing bleaching action. Bleaching action. They may ask you, the bleaching action of H2O2 is because of its oxidizing behavior. Oxidizing behavior. Okay, now syrupy liquid injurious to skin and weak acidic nature. Next, oxidizing properties. Let us discuss some oxidizing properties in acidic media. Oxidizing properties in acidic media. First one, it oxidizes a black colored lead sulfide to lead sulfate. Okay, lead sulfide to lead sulfate. Next one, it oxidizes the ferrous salts into ferric salts. Oxidizes ferrous salts into ferric salts. Next one, it oxidizes potassium ferrocyanide K4FeCN6 into K3FeCN6 thrice. Ferrocyanide into ferricyanide. Okay, these all are in acidic medium. Okay, in acidic media. Next, in basic media, it also shows oxidizing property. It oxidizes the formaldehyde into formic acid. This is in basic media, and in the presence of pyrogalal as a solvent. Pyrogalal as a solvent in basic media, alkaline media, it oxidizes the formaldehyde into formic acid. Next one, it oxidizes ferrous ions into ferric ions, and it oxidizes Mn+2 ions into Mn+4 salts. Okay, and it oxidizes chromium oxide CrO3 or K2Cr2O7 in presence of acidic media. K2Cr2O7 into blue colored compound, that is what? Chromium pentoxide. Okay, it oxidizes the potassium dichromate salts into chromium pentoxide. As we know, chromium pentoxide is a butterfly structure. Okay, and that compound also is formed in basic media in oxidizing properties. Okay, so these are some oxidizing properties. Next, coming to reducing properties. Reducing properties. Okay, in reducing properties, first one, it reduces silver oxide into silver. It reduces the silver oxides into silver, and it reduces ozone into oxygen. Okay, and it reduces what? Hypochlorite means ClO minus chlorines, halogens into halides. Halogens into halides. And it reduces MnO4 minus into Mn+2 ions, or hypochlorite means OX minus into halides. Okay, or else MnO4 minus into MnO2. Okay, or else iodides into iodine. Sorry, reducing, right? So iodine into I minus. So these are the reducing properties. So these two are taking place in acidic media, and these two are taking place in OH media, basic media. So these are some reducing properties of H2O2. Okay, so it is also showing the bleaching action, and that bleaching action is because of its oxidizing behavior. Okay, so this is about the properties, and usually the H2O2 is highly unstable. It is easily decomposes into H2O. H2O2 will decompose into H2O and half water. Easily decompose. That is why we should, and it will decompose in the presence of sunlight, or in presence of rough surfaces, in presence of acids like silica. Okay, so these all are what? It enhances the decomposition power. So, but by using some retarders, we can prevent the decomposition of H2O2 by using some substances. Those we call it as what? Inhibitors or retarders. What are the inhibitors of decomposition of H2O2? That is urea, acetanilide, phosphoric acid, sodium stannate, etc. These all can use as what? Retarders or inhibitors. Okay, so this is about the stability, decomposition or the stability of H2O2. Ways of expressing the strength of H2O2. The strength of H2O2 we can express in the following ways. The first one is volume strength. Volume strength. The second one is percentage strength. Percentage strength also we call it as weight by volume. Percentage strength. Okay, we can also express in molarities. Also we express in normalities. In 4 ways we can express. Okay, first of all, what is volume strength? Volume strength. Volume strength simply we represent with V. Okay, volume strength is nothing but the volume of H2O2 liberated per one volume of H2O2. Okay, volume strength is nothing but the volume of O2 liberate at STP per one volume of H2O2, for one volume of H2 or per unit volume of H2O2. So that is what we call as volume strength. And now what is the relation between these 4 expressions? Okay, let us see. Just remember, first volume strength is equal to molarity into 11.6 mol. That means to convert the molarity into volume strength or volume strength to molarity, we can use this formula. Volume strength is equal to molarity into 11.6. Next one, volume strength is equal to normality into 11.2 mol, and this is a 5.6. Volume strength is equal to normality into 5.6, and whereas volume strength is equal to molarity into 11.2. Next, volume strength is equal to 56/17 into percentage strength. Okay, 56/17 into percentage strength. So this is one more formula. Okay, from this what we can write, percentage strength is equal to 17/56 into volume strength. This is one more formula I am writing from this above formula only. Okay, this is the third formula. And if x ml of y volume strength H2O2, if you takes x ml, how many ml? X ml. How much volume strength? Y volume strength H2O2. Then after decomposition, how much volume of O2 it will decompose? It always liberates. It liberates x into y, xy ml of O2 at STP. If you take x ml of y volume strength containing H2O2 on decomposition, at STP it liberates how much ml of O2 more? xy ml of O2. So these are the 4 formulas. Just remember once again, volume strength is equal to molarity into 11.2, volume strength is equal to normality into 5.6, volume strength is equal to 56/17, that means 3.3 something will come into percentage strength, and xml of y volume strength H2O2 always will after decomposition liberates how much? xy ml of O2. Okay, and one more, perhydrol. What is perhydrol? Perhydrol is nothing but 100 volume strength H2O2. 100 volume strength H2O2 or 30% H2O2. 100 volume H2O2 or 30% of H2O2 solution, we call it as what? Perhydrol. And it is used as what? Antiseptic. Okay, so these are the one H2O2 compound we are using as an antiseptic. Okay, so this is about the hydrogen and its compounds, and almost we covered almost all important points. Okay, so next the few important models problems asking from this chapter, that is the hydrogen compounds. Let us see the first question. So based upon the degree of hardness. See that 100 grams of water sample contains 12 milligrams of magnesium sulfate. Calculate the hardness of water sample. Okay, so I told you first you convert all the other salts into weights of CaCO3, and after we convert into weights of CaCO3, then only you can easily calculate the degree of hardness. Okay, so first of all what I am doing, I am converting the weight of this magnesium sulfate into weight of CaCO3. So as we know, the weight of 1 mole of magnesium sulfate is equal to the weight of 1 mole of CaCO3. So what is the weight of 1 mole of magnesium? It's gram molecular weight. So what is the molecular weight of magnesium sulfate? 24, 32 plus 64. Total how much? 0, 110. Okay, magnesium sulfate is what? 110, 4, 8, 10, 3, 6, 120. 120 grams. Okay, so 120 grams weight of magnesium sulfate is equal to calcium carbonate is 100 grams of CaCO3. But what is the weight he given? 12 milligrams they given. If 120 grams of magnesium sulfate is equal to 100 grams of CaCO3, then 12 milligrams of magnesium sulfate is equal to X. Then X will be how much? So 12 into 100 by 120. So that is equal to 10 milligrams. 10 milligrams. Clear? So I converted this 12 milligrams of magnesium sulfate into 10 milligrams of calcium carbonate. Now what is the formula for degree of hardness? Degree of hardness is equal to weight of CaCO3 in grams by the weight of water in grams into 10 power 6. Substitute that. So what is the weight of CaCO3 in grams we want, but it is given in milligrams. 10 milligrams na, so 10 into 10 power minus 3 divided by weight of water. What is the weight of water? 100 grams. So 100 into 10 power 6. So how much will be? So 10 square, or else 10 no 0 cancel, 10 you bring 10 to numerator, 10 power minus 1, 10 power minus 4, finally 100 ppm. Okay, so the option is what? 100 ppm. So once again he given the weight of water and the weight of magnesium sulfate, asking the degree of hardness. First you convert the weight of magnesium sulfate into weight of CaCO3. After, by using this formula, you calculate the degree of hardness. So, okay, if you follow this method, you feel very easy about this degree of hardness. Okay. Next, move to the second question. 1 liter sample of groundwater found to contain 7.3 milligrams of magnesium bicarbonate and 1.1 milligrams of calcium chloride. Here two salts are there. Then express the hardness of water in that area, in that water. Okay, so first of all, same here also. So what they given? Weight of water they given. Weight of water they given? No, they have not given the weight of water. Volume of water they given, 1 liter. Okay, as we know, density of water is how much? Density is equal to mass by volume. Okay, so density of water is 1 gram per ml. That is why you can take the same volume as weight. So that is why the weight of water is equal to 1000 grams. 1000 ml is equal to 1000 grams. So this is the weight of water. Now, what is the weight of magnesium bicarbonate they given? 1 mole of magnesium bicarbonate is equal to weight of 1 mole of CaCO3. What is the weight of 1 mole of magnesium bicarbonate? Magnesium is 24. Okay, bicarbonate, hydrogen 1, no, carbon 12, 48, 50, 51. 51 2 is 102. Okay, once again 48 2 plus 12, 61. 122. So total how much? 146. 146. Okay, 146 grams molecular weight. Here this is what? 100 grams. So if 146 grams is equal to 100 grams of CaCO3, then what is the weight of MgCO3? 7.3. 7.3 grams is equal to X. Then 7.3 into 100 by 146, 7.3 is 20s are 25s are. So that is equal to 5 milligrams. Okay, this is a weight of CaCO3 present in the form of magnesium bicarbonate. Now similarly you calculate the calcium chloride, also convert the calcium chloride. So weight of CaCl2 is equal to weight of CaCO3. What is the weight of CaCl2 molecular weight? 111 grams. 111 grams is equal to 100 grams. Then 1.11 gram is equal to x gram. Then x will be x is equal to 100 into 1.11 by 111. That is equal to 1 milligram. 1 milligram. So what is the total weight of CaCO3? Here 5 milligram, here 1 milligram. Total is how much? 6 milligram. So the degree of hardness is equal. What is the formula? Weight of CaCO3 by weight of water into 10 power 6. That is equal. What is the total weight of CaCO3? 5 plus 1, 6 milligrams. That is equal to 6 into 10 power minus 3. And weight of water 1 liter. That is already we know 1000 per 10 cube. Okay, into 10 power 6. So total how much will come? 10 power 3. 10 power minus 6 minus cancel. So finally 6 ppm will come. So what is the total hardness? 6 ppm. Understood? First you convert all the weights of the gas given salts into weights of CaCO3, then you feel very easy about the degree of hardness. Okay, then move to the third one. The volume strength of one normal solution. Normality he given, volume strength they are asking. We know the formula. What is the formula? Volume strength is equal to normality into 5.6. So normality is how much? 1. 1 into 5.6, 5.6. Director. Okay, fourth one. 3.4 grams of H2O2 decomposes the weight of oxygen liberated from it is. Okay, 3.4 grams of H2O2 was decomposed. When 3.4 grams of H2O2 decomposed, then what is the weight of O2 liberated? Okay, let us write the decomposition of H2O2. So what is the reaction? H2O2 gives rise to H2O plus half O2. Okay, that means 1 mole of H2O2 liberating half mole of O2. Okay, this is a weight-weight relation. He is asking weight-weight relation. What is the weight of 1 mole of H2O2? 34 grams. 34 grams of H2O2 liberating O2, half mole of O2 weight is what? 16 grams. If 34 grams of H2O2 liberates 16 grams of O2, then what is the weight he is asking? 3.4. So then 3.4 grams will liberate how much? X is equal to 1.6. Okay, so the option is what? 1.6 grams. Direct question. Okay, but if you know the decomposition reaction, then you feel very easy. Okay, then move to the next one. 1 ml of H2O2. 1 ml of H2O2 solution gives 50 ml of O2 at MTP. So it is what? 1 ml is liberating 50 ml. So as we know, in volume strength, what is the meaning of 10 volume H2O2? 10 volume H2O2 means, that means 1 liter of H2O2, 1 liter of H2O2 liberating on decomposition liberating 10 liters of O2. So that is why we are calling this as 10 volume strength. 20 volume H2O2 means what? 20 volume H2O2 means 1 liter of H2O2 on decomposition liberates 20 liters of O2. That is the meaning of this. Similarly, 50 volume strength H2O2 means what? That is 1 liter of H2O2 liberate on decomposition liberates how many liters? 50 liters of O2. So now read the question. 1 ml of H2O2 solution gives 50 ml. See here, 1 liter of H2O2 liberating 50 liters. So 1 ml H2O2 liberating 50 ml. That means what is the volume strength of this solution? 50 volume strength. Okay, if you understand that volume strength concept, then you feel very easy. So the option is third option. Clear? Okay, see, if 1 ml of H2O2 liberating 50 ml of O2, then no doubt that is what? 50 volume strength. Okay, suppose if it is a 2 ml of H2O2 solution gives 50 ml, then 50 by 2, that is 25 volume strength. That is the meaning of that. Okay, next one, last question. 20 volume H2O2 solution has a strength of about, so that means he given volume strength, asking percentage strength. Okay, what is the relation to the volume strength and percentage strength? So as we know, percentage strength is equal to, what is that? 17 by 56 into volume strength. 17 by 56. That is equal, what is the volume strength they given? 20 volume strength. So 17 by 56 into 20. Okay, just simplify, that is 170 to the 30, 340 by 56. Okay, how much it will become? 220 is a 2, 170 is a 2 14s, 2 85s. Okay, next 14, 6 point something will come. So 6%. Okay. Okay, so just if you know the relation between volume strength and percentage strength, we can easily calculate now. So once again, percentage strength is equal to 17 by 56 into volume strength. By using that formula, we calculated this. So these are the, so mainly more major 99%, they will ask you the, suppose if they ask you the problem from the hydrogenous compounds, either they may ask you from degree of hardness, or by giving the percentage strength, they may ask you volume strength, or by giving the volume strength they may ask you molarity, normality. So from these concepts only they may ask you. Okay, thank you.